So I think I want to continue my thought from yesterday, and really, I feel like it's becoming a theme of this channel. Is I really like being a part of this generation that I'm in, because I understand there's a lot of negatives about this generation. I'm not going to talk too much about them. Not right now, anyway. I want to focus on the positives. Like I said, this is going to be like a repeating theme of this channel, but I like being a part of the internet generation. You know, I like being part of the generation where I can just, there's so many people that are creating content, and yeah, a lot of it is bad. I'll grant you that. But that's what, block buttons are for, and don't recommend channel.
Some things take forever.
It's a lot easier, I will confess, on text-based
takes no time at all.
websites like Facebook or
Cards that earn cash back.
X. It's a lot easier to just block unsavory people. It's a little bit harder to do that on YouTube because YouTube does not listen to your feedback that well. At least if you're watching content, it does. And really, you have to, at least I have to put a bunch of videos in a watch later playlist. That way my recommendations are always stuff that I want to see. So there is a lot of stuff that's crappy out there that I don't give two shits about. And so some people are going to look at that and say, well, this generation's really not that great. And okay, I'll grant you that. The difference is it's easier for evil people to express their evil publicly. Back in the 60s, if you want to do that, what did you have to do? To get it on a major scale, you had to protest, and then get interviewed by a major news organization or published in a newspaper or whatever. It was just, there was a lot less evil people who were able to express evil on a wide scale. It was much more, I think it was much more segregated. Now, granted, if someone read a national newspaper, let's say you had, man, I'm really getting off on a tangent here. My point is, I still like living in this era. I wouldn't want to go back to a previous era, despite the fact that most people on the internet I don't like. Most people I don't care for. And I will block them and find a few people that I do like. Despite that fact, I would rather live in this era than any other previous era. Just because when you find something that is enjoyable, it's really enjoyable. It's kind of like, before the automobile, when the automobile came along, I'm sure that the older generations were very envious because they grew up with horses and had to walk, and it's like, well, why do you young people, you young whippersnappers, why are you getting your automobile when we didn't? It's like, well, did that stop the automobile? No. The automobile became the new normal, and now nobody cares about the plight of horseback riders pre-automobile. Nobody is simping for automobile, the people who rode horses before the automobile. And it's the same thing with the internet. I feel like, we're still in that gap where people who lived without the internet are here, right, who didn't grow up with it. But there's going to come a time in, a generation or two where you're still going to have people who didn't have internet in the internet generation, but you will not have people who were alive in the pre-internet generation, right? You're no longer going to have people that, before social media, or well before social media. Right now we're in that, why do I do that? Right now we're in that in-between gap
Some things
or they're still
take
here.
forever.
There's going to come a time where they're not here anymore. I mean, myself included. I'm part of that generation that lived pre-internet. What the heck, man?
Earn cash back.
I'm part of that. I didn't get internet until I was 16, so my youth was spent without the internet. Whereas, there's still people whose adulthood was spent without the internet that are alive today. So I'm part of the last generation whose youth was spent pre-internet, which is really interesting, to me anyway. And you could say that I didn't have enough experience pre-internet to justify my position that the internet age is better than the pre-internet age. But if you just even use the internet for a little bit, if you're a critical thinker, like, yeah, I get it, there's evil people saying a lot of stuff that's bad, that doesn't mean the pre-internet age was better. I can learn so much that it would have been, if not impossible to learn, very, very, very difficult and time-consuming and financially costly to learn. It's so much cheaper to have an internet connection and a search bar. And nowadays with AI, it makes search engines even better. It's like AI is essentially a giant search engine. It's like an Ask Jeeves. It's what Ask Jeeves always wanted to be. It's so much better. And the reason people don't think that is because evil people are now brought to light more. But biblically speaking, people are still sinners like they've always been. If you read the Old Testament, people were still doing stuff that they're doing today. So it's not really different. It's just we're more aware of it. Back in the day, you'd read the Bible, you say, what is that? Nowadays, you can literally look it up on a search engine. So that is the difference if you're talking about from a negative standpoint. If you read the book of Jeremiah, there's a lot of, when he gets thrown into the well, there's so much talk of him when God told Jeremiah to preach. The people really hated him, and they tried to kill him and mistreat him and all this. Well, that's still true today. That hasn't changed, right? So human nature, in the deepest theological sense, human nature is the same as it was back then. Now, there are some differences, obviously, because Christ was crucified now, so there's differences, but God was still the source of good in the Old Testament, like He is in the New, like He is today. So that's not changed. The fact that human beings are sinners hasn't changed. So really, the change is, the tools themselves and what the tools have allowed for human nature to do. That's the big difference. Obviously, the tool of the internet it's provided an opportunity to be educated in a way that was never before available. In the old days, I guess you could have social media. I mean, imagine social media in like Jeremiah's day, right? You just have a Facebook group where they say, look, we're going to take Jeremiah, we're going to tie him up, we're going to throw him in a well. Yeah. So, in that sense, it wouldn't have been any different. Except maybe more severe because there's more people on the Facebook group than there were I don't know. But my point is the internet didn't make human beings crappier. It just allowed crappiness to become more public and widespread. The crappiness was always there. And I really like especially being a young adult in the AI age. Like, there's a lot of AI that's terrible. But using like perplexity and asking questions, assuming that the what is it called? Assuming that the parameters are like fair and just. Like Chat GPT has a terrible bias. Assuming that the developers don't code in a bias to the AI, it's really cool to be in this era where you can ask it. It's essentially like what the search engine should have been a long time ago. Like you could say, this is like the closest thing we have to, like imagine you ask it a question where you say, what would Aristotle say about the fact that, I can't think of a good example. You could ask AI a question, what would any historical figure that you want think about something in the current day? And you could say, base it on their writings and infer the best you can what they would say about blah, blah, blah. And you'll get a pretty good response. I've done this before with certain people and certain questions. And it's okay, it's an interesting thing. So little things like that get very overshadowed by all the evil that people do on the internet, because it's still like Jeremiah's day in a sense. Sin is still sin. Murder is still murder. It hasn't changed. So, you could say, well, the Bible says in the latter days things will get worse and worse. They'll be lovers of their own selves. But I'm like, well, wait a minute. Weren't they lovers of their own selves in the Old Testament? And then, they'll be boasters. Well, weren't they boasters in the Old Testament? Covetous. Well, weren't they covetous in the Old Testament? You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know about that. I don't know about this whole idea of it getting worse and worse and worse. Maybe it does get worse and worse. And then simultaneously it gets better and better, this paradox. Maybe. But my point is that people focus a lot on the negative side of the internet, which I agree. Okay, it's hard to find stuff that really suits you because there's so much crap that doesn't. However, does that mean that I'd rather live in the 80s? No. Does that mean I'd rather live in the 90s? No, I lived in the 90s, early 2000s. I lived pre-internet age. Do I miss it compared to the internet? No, I don't. Because I didn't live in a big city. I didn't have a whole lot of friends. I had a couple friends, but I didn't have a whole lot of friends. I didn't have a big social life. It's like I don't miss that. I'm not underestimating the good of the internet because I'm overestimating the bad. That's what most people do. It's like, imagine that the people in the horse and buggy generation, they said, oh, listen, these cars are a terrible thing because back in the day, because now you can have an accident at 60 miles an hour. Back in the day, if you were riding a horse, maybe, I don't know, what's your top speed, 20? So if you get in an accident, you're only doing 20. Nowadays, oh, listen, you can do 60 miles an hour and crash. Therefore, cars are these terrible things. It's like, well, wait a minute. What? Now I can travel halfway across the country where I couldn't before. Number one. Number two, not only is it possible to do, it's possible to do in a time that was inconceivable beforehand. So what's this? Where's this perspective? Most people have a very bad perspective about technology in their current generation. Maybe that's why I'm here. I'm trying to provide a more balanced perspective because the negatives are so easy. Oh, you got people cut their genitals off, and then they're joining these groups encouraging other people to cut their genitals off, and then they do it when they're young, and then they regret it. Yeah, I totally agree. That is a very terrible thing about the internet. However, what about all the people who made video game content and made millions of dollars at it? Now, unless you're a coveter, that's a fantastic thing. That was not possible pre-internet, unless you were like a developer. The opportunity has been provided for people to do things that historically were not possible. So, and the education you can receive, especially with AI nowadays, asking AI any question you want and getting a pretty good answer, assuming your parameters are tight enough. Don't underestimate the positive side of the internet just because negative things are happening. I would not go back to any era, especially not before the 60s. So just keep a healthy perspective. I don't kill myself on purpose. Maintain a healthy perspective about this is all I'm saying.